welcome to another episode of And Taxes. I am your host, Joseph Rodriguez, and today we're going to dive into the fastest growing industry in this country right now, the med spa world. And joining me today are two powerhouse women behind Hebe Medical Spa, with locations in Fishkill, Latham, and now Saratoga Springs. Please welcome Irina, the CEO and founder of Hebe and Dr. the medical director and the clinic brain behind their aesthetic and wellness services. Ladies, thank you for inviting me in your home. Today we're in Fishkill, a beautiful Fishkill location. Yeah, I'm excited. What's one of the things that I really wanted to ask you both is the name Hebe. What does it stand for? What does it mean? Why Hebe?
So before I answer that question, let me just say thank you so much for the privilege to have us here. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I will tell you why. From the first time I met you, I saw your beautiful energy with you. You just exuded so much love and positivity. It's just so nice to be around you. And when this opportunity came, I know we both were so excited to be here.
God, thank you so much. Again, my plan today is to dive into everything personal. I'm an open book. I love sharing. I believe that we learn from each other, from sharing our experiences. And Hebe's changed my life for the better, you know. So, you know, and it's from both perspectives, to be really honest with you. I feel like as a business owner, I've learned things from you, Irina, and Dr. Z. You've taught me how to take care of myself in a different way. And not in a doctor way. You know what I mean? Where you feel the disconnect. Like I remember when I had my gallbladder surgery, unexpected, and you text me right away and you say, you know what, I'm gonna send you this peptide, that peptide's gonna be good for you. You know, you lost the bile and all this stuff, and it's like, wow, it's like, she really cares, which is why I feel that Hebe's so successful, because you guys really do put your heart and soul into the work that you do.
Well, thank you.
So thank you, definitely.
So Hebe.
Hebe.
I'm sorry, I distracted us.
No, it's fine.
It kind of made me think about it because of what you said about Dr. Z's care for you. You know, Hebe is actually the Greek goddess of eternal youth. And when we were searching for a name, we thought it was so appropriate for what we wanted to do, and it was really help people to feel the best from the inside out. And just, you know, I know that, you know, yes, it is a business, but one of the pleasures that we have is that we see our patients change their lives, and it's so exciting for us.
Oh, yeah. And I still remember when she picked this name. We had, you know, we met in the gym, so we had this weird thing where we would call each other eagles. Don't ask me why. And when we found Hebe, the Greek goddess, she had an eagle on her shoulder, and we're like, oh my goodness, this is a sign. This has to be the name. So,
that's so interesting.
So that's the added little...
Yeah, so the eagles came from, there was a video, if you remember, and the whole video was about eagles fly through the storm and the chickens, you know, they don't. So we were laughing when we saw the motivational video. I was like, yeah, we're definitely the eagles. Right. And then we saw the Hebe goddess with the eagle, and we thought it was so appropriate.
Yeah. I was going to, you know, the logo itself. I was wondering what the reference of the eagle for. Now I get it.
Yeah, it's the woman's head and the eagle. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, I love that for you guys. Okay. Hebe has become a recognizable brand, okay, in the aesthetics world. 3 locations, gorgeous facilities, loyal clients. What inspired you additionally when the creation of Hebe? Like, why the med spa? Why, you know, I get the name and you know, wanting, but where did that come from initially?
So as you said, we met at the gym. Okay. And we kind of really fast found it like a bonded, and we found a friendship, and it was shared fashion and skincare and you know, beauty, and we started talking, exchanging products and fashion advice, and you know, I think that this was really how we started, was really this whole idea of helping other women feel better about themselves.
Looking out for each other.
Yeah.
Get into the amazing brand that it is today.
I mean, for me, I mean, I felt like I had burnt out in my career, you know, in the hospital. she sort of felt the same way, as a banker. And then we had this one thing in common where we loved feeling beautiful. And then we were like, hey, let's make other people feel beautiful too. And so here we are.
That's amazing. Banker.
Banker.
Makes sense. Makes sense why
Oops,
we
the
connect.
secret's out.
Makes sense why, you know what it is? I always say that in business, for example, with my accounting practice, I am the brand, right? I tell it took me a while to understand this because especially being married to my business partner, struggles, beyond struggles. And originally when Joe came on to help me manage and run J Squared, I almost took offense. I almost got offended. I almost felt like he was coming from a place of like, oh, well, you don't know what you're doing, so I have to step in. And I battled with that a long time. And it wasn't until a mentor of mine kind of put it in perspective and said, you have to remember that you're the product on the shelf. Everybody that works for you, including your business partner, it's their job to sell you. To restock you, to make sure you look good, to make sure you're doing what you're selling yourself that you say that you're doing. And that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't see, that you need someone behind you to take care of all the other aspects so that the other person can focus on what really sells and not to jeopardize the integrity of what's being sold.
I couldn't agree more. I think this is why our partnership works so well, is because, Z is the expert in all medical and all of the treatments and everything that we bring to Hebe, but it's a business, so there is this whole other side with marketing and management and, pricing and, making sure everything runs smoothly and the staff is trained very well. It's almost impossible for one person to do it all.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, I am the expert, but don't be fooled. Irina's an expert too. She knows, just as much about the business aspect, and she still knows just as much as I do sometimes, maybe more in the medical part of it too. And I think that's what makes this really
Working.
Working and where it is today, because she really takes a passion in actually learning the medical side as well. So yeah.
And I do not mean this as an insult, but when I stalked Hebe, you two are literally the definition of the goddess of youth. Like if you compare pictures of when you guys first started to the women that look even younger and more radiant. And I'm looking at both of your faces, and it's not like you're all caked up with all this makeup or all this stuff that's hidden. You really did. You practice what you preach. You know what I mean? And that's something that, I don't know if I'm being mean, but this is who I am, so I don't care. But it's almost like if I go to a gym and my personal trainer has to be fit. Like I can't take it serious if like the trainer has a fupa. I'm like, I know you're not telling me what to do. You're not fit yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? If the person that's doing my injectables doesn't have beautiful skin, I don't want, if the person does my hair, has a bad hair day every time I see them, do I really want to, you definitely have taken what you do and you live your life in it. And not many people can do that.
Right.
Not many people can do that. And like, again, I don't expect anyone to work with me if I, owe all these back taxes and I'm not complying to the IRS, right? So it's one of those things that it shows. It shows the way that you both carry yourselves, not only on your social media platforms, but in person when you're bumping into your patients here. So I commend you greatly for really living the Hebe brand. Even and throughout.
Thank you for noticing, because sometimes when we look at old photos, it's like, oh my God.
Did we really look like
Was
that?
this really us?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So
But,
beautiful.
yeah.
Like how it's changed.
Yeah, it's interesting because as much as we have impacted all of our patients, it's impacted us, positively too, because we have learned so much from, all the things that we offer here and the things that are upcoming, and we end up obviously utilizing it ourselves, and hey, we've benefited greatly. So yeah, absolutely, you have to practice what you preach, and I think we do a pretty good job, without even really trying, because we actually love this stuff, and you're very passionate about it, so it kind of just happens.
And then going back a little bit to the past, right? A banker. internal medicine, correct?
Yes.
My thing is, you guys met, we're not happy if you're not, do you ever think back, like, I want to go back to that old hospital, that old clinic, or old job? No, just to walk in and be like, or have you, like, just to walk in and be like, I'm Dr. Z, this is what I look like now. Like, this is like, because there is a say, if you do, there's a saying that I believe in truly. If you do for work what you love, if you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life.
Correct.
Agree with that.
And thinking about like the environment of internal medicine, the environment of a bank, you know what I mean? It's nothing exciting for me. I truly do love my numbers, but I love more working with my clients. That's where the joy I get, is that I get to see all walks of life. So I know that I'm a numbers guy, but if my client has a fashion boutique, I feel like I get that. I feel like, wow, I'm part of that. My client has a restaurant bar. I feel like I'm a part of that. I'll sidetrack and be like, oh, what fun cocktails are you doing for the holiday season? I feel like I get to not only learn about other industries, but I truly also do things like this, where I get to talk to other entrepreneurs out there. And for those of you that, I've said this many times, but I'm a giant feminist. So anytime I see anything women owned, I lose my mind, and I can't help but not to support. But the majority of my staff was all female for a very long time. And personally, I just found that I can work well. And I enjoy working with a team of women. They all become like my mom / work wives. And they quickly boss me around instead of, you know what I mean? I always say, I'm like, I have like 10 bosses, I don't have a boss. But, in the realm of things, again, I came from auditing, I came from corporate America, I hated it. I hated it. So I get it. When I worked in government, that's when I turned to Joe and I said, look, I have an idea. I'm going to try to do this. If it works out, I have a good resume, I know I can get a job. And 15 years later, I haven't looked back. And the stuff that you guys do is just amazing. So I want to dabble into some of the business stuff with Irina first. So the Med Spa requires serious upfront investments, okay? Laser devices, build outs, staff. What were some of the biggest surprises when you guys opened the first location? What are the things now that you would go back and tell baby Z and baby Irina, hey, remember when we made that mistake? And sometimes it's financial and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Is it what are some of the biggest things that people don't see?
I would say that we do appreciate all the experience and all the things we've been through, right? Because that's how we learned. But I do think that the most important thing people don't realize is when you open up a new business, you have to put the time in, and you have to really hustle and work and be prepared that might be a little bit of time before you start making money. Now everybody looks at Hebe and it's like, oh my God, so amazing. But for a couple of years we didn't make a dime. We just showed up every day and we worked 60 hours every Saturday. We were hustling and we had a lot of fun and we had an idea and we had a dream. So that kind of fueled us to do it. But besides that, just be prepared. It's a lot of fun. It's yours. You're building it. And just be ready, because it's not all glamour and all fancy. Now we do enjoy the fruits of our labor. Still challenges on a different level. But, it's been pretty great so far.
Right.
Anything you want to add?
No, I agree with everything Irina said. And definitely we've made some great choices and made some mistakes, but actually all the mistakes we've learned a lot from. And actually those mistakes ended up actually being something very positive. And if anything, Irina has taught me that to always kind of keep a positive outlook, and everything happens for a reason. And I believe that wholeheartedly now. And yeah.
Yes, it's funny hearing you guys, because such a great deal of what you experienced, I experienced myself when starting my practice. you know, my fiance at the time still had to keep his 9 to 5 in order for me to try this. And like you said, mentioning the 2 jobs, and you know, in a world of beauty and glamour, it wasn't that glamorous in the beginning, right? And that's one of those things that I always like to put out there, you know, when there's younger entrepreneurs out there, or people that sometimes are starting over for the first time at age 50, and they're just trying to do something for the first time. You know, it's like all right, don't give up, because it's gonna be days there, it's gonna be not fun. My first office, I sat there and built the furniture with my own hands, and we painted the walls with and then, you know, I was talking to one of the BLR people from Cream, and then he showed me this hideous sweater, this hideous t-shirt. I'm like, this is hideous, what were you thinking? And he said, well, you know, you can wear it while, you know, if you decide to do a project at the house, like paint something. And I'm like, Matt, do you not see this? Do you think this body is going to paint and do physical labor? No. But it never was like that. It was never like that. It was, I could say that now, and like you mentioned earlier, enjoying the fruits of my labor. I can hire someone now to do a job like that. But there was a time in my life that that just because I was a business owner, and yeah, because I rewarded myself and make sure I drove a nice car, people only see the exterior. They don't see the interior.
Yeah.
So what are some of the not so beautiful things in a beauty industry?
Well, let me answer, because as you were talking about when you opened your first location, it kind of reminded me when we started, you never came to Hebe from the beginning, right? So you didn't know. It was completely different. The colors were red and silver, I think, and yeah, it was completely
One of those
different.
mistakes that we talked about earlier.
Yes, and
One of the things I would have done differently.
we were putting all the furniture together, as you said. We were painting. I mean, we had these lipstick paintings on the walls that came from eBay, I think. It looked beautiful though. It was really nice.
We made it work.
It was really nice. And as we continue growing is when we, you know, we had the financial ability to continue improving the, you know, the environment for our clients. And this is also the question from earlier, is that, you know, don't overextend yourself when you're starting a new business. You know, make it beautiful and start, you know, don't buy 20 devices. Figure out what can you do with a couple of machines so you can actually service your clients as you continue growing, continue expanding. Because, you know, it's really nice if you have all the finances to start and build this beautiful location, but we didn't have that opportunity. And the other thing, this building, when we bought it, I mean, we had to replace all the electrical. It's a very old building. This used to be a like a mechanics garage.
Really?
Yeah, this portion.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had to, it was 2 buildings put together with the Salon Doriano in the back. So we redid pretty much everything, and it was a lot of work. And when we opened, everything went wrong. I mean, all the money we made went to fixing things.
Oh my God. Oh, I've been there, so
Yeah.
I definitely get it. You mentioned the machinery. You know, med spas often have different flows of income, right? There's services, there's retail products, you know, and part of, I believe, the business decisions that you both made from the clinical side and from a marketing perspective or a financial side, you guys sit there and say, all right, well, is this something that I would personally wear? You know, would I put this on my face? So there's a lot of decision making in there. Is there any struggles with that, with knowing what brands to partner with, what to use from a clinical perspective, Dr. C?
I mean, not so much. I mean, we sort of know, what we're looking for, you know, in our brands, and you know, we really just cater. What we want to concentrate always, you know, is how can we sort of keep our patients looking very natural, right? So.
Right.
You have to have like a goal as to what kind of, there's so many different kinds of medical spas out there that cater to very different kind of, you know, patients and clientele. So we did have an image that we wanted, and I think when we pick our, you know, our skincare products, our lasers, everything would have to, you know, cater to that. And so what that means is we want our patients to be very comfortable in their skin. We wanted to look good with makeup, without makeup. So we really wanted to bring on, technology and products that would allow that to be, that goal to be achieved. So yeah, it all depends, I think.
For me, what drew me to Hebe was your wellness programs.
Yes.
Hebe, you guys have a lot of, things that and I would love to have you speak on it. I remember first seeing the IV treatments, and I remember telling you guys this story, and I even told some of the girls, when I go to Las Vegas, that's the first thing I do is go to a clinic and spend like $600 just to get an IV for the jet lag. You know what I mean? And then when it came to Hebe, with the intention, again, you got this client from an event that another business owner, female business owner, invited me to an event of Hebe's. So there's so much stuff to talk about here because the marketing geniuses that you both are, it's not just like I like what you said earlier, Dr. Z, about it's not, Irina knows just as much about the medical side or the clinical side as you do. You are very well involved in the marketing and decision making of any, of what you guys do here for Hebe success. But I remember like the IVs for me was like gold. I was like, oh my God, down the street from my house, I can get an IV for half the price of what I was paying in Las Vegas. Mm. Like I remember one time I drove all the way to Midtown because that was the only other clinic that I was able to do. Or I would have to get a $500 copay and go to the emergency room to get an IV. Mm-hmm. Like I'm never gonna forget, I got food poisoning one time and I went to the emergency room. Right. And I remember saying, I know what's wrong with me. I'm not gonna stop because every time my daughter came with a stomach bug, I already knew. I said I'm not gonna stop throwing up until I get I am dehydrated. I need that anti-nausea medication. And again, it happened to me when we were in Disneyland in California. So I ended up getting an out-of-network $1,000 charge to be in a not so nice emergency room, in Anaheim, California. Mm-hmm. So like little things like that people don't realize, and I feel like big part of what you guys do is you educate your clients, your patients on everything that you do. Was wellness always part of the Hebe brand? Was it always meant for us to incorporate all the advancement in medicine that you now see?
Yes, because so being that I came into the space as an internal medicine doctor, I wanted this to be about the outside as much as the inside. So beauty from the inside out was our motto from day one. So yes, when I first started this practice, yes, we did a bunch of injectables, but then I was like, Irina, we have to do hormones because it makes sense. I mean, how can a woman be complete unless she feels good from the inside as well? So yes, that was naturally and from the beginning our motto. And then the fact that it progressed into now it's you have to do both. It was very fitting for our journey that we started it this way, and then we're now in a position where we can keep expanding now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when we started, we were with IVs, hormonal replacement therapy, and as we grew, the wellness actually became a huge part of our business with medical weight loss, peptide therapy, ozone therapy. So we do a lot of very advanced treatments because the one thing we have found is that if your body is not optimized from the inside out, like your hormones, no matter, sometimes when we do lasers and other treatments, we get you to certain points and then you don't respond anymore. So to really have the best results, we have to make sure that your hormones are optimized, your vitamin levels are optimized, your body is functioning really well. So when we add the other treatments, you have better results.
And I am in the Kool-Aid, I am drinking the Kool-Aid. Again, when I came to Hebe with the intention just to find a good Botox person, okay, that was it. Mm-hmm. And it was pandemic. it was my daughter's christening, and someone said, "Hey, next to the gym," I was still living on the other side of the river. "Next to the gym, there's a spa person that does Botox." And I remember the woman telling me I was going to Fifth Avenue to get. So I was, and as I've shared with you, a lot of the dermatologists in Manhattan and NYC, it's not units, it's bottles. So regardless if I used the vial or not, I was being charged for the vial. So she sold me on that. "Look, it's half the cost. It's right down the street from your house. Great." And then there's a picture at the christening that I looked like The Rock. One eyebrow was moved and the other one didn't. And I remember complaining and saying, "You get what you pay for. This is what happened. I went cheap." I think it was also a pandemic, so I wasn't running into Manhattan if I didn't need to. But when I found, Hebe, and then I got sold on the peptides. I mean, during pandemic, that's all I kept doing was bleaching my own hair. I was buying the products on Amazon and I was bleaching I was blonde, I was silver, I was pink, I was blue. And then one day I stopped doing it because my hair wasn't growing back. And I used to always say, "I have a big head of hair, I'm a hairy guy, my dad he's in his 70s with a full head of hair, my mom has a lot of hair, I'm fine, my hair will keep growing, I'm a boy, if I don't like the color, I'll just cut it off." And then one day, it wasn't growing back, and it was thin. And the thing that gave me curly hair today was the copper peptides that you put me on. So much things that I've learned through you guys with, when Irina gave me that tip about the spray peptide to help with the jet lagging. It's the environment also that you guys cultivate. Everybody from the front desk to your injectors and your nurses that work here, they always pass out that they love to share the knowledge. I love seeing your girls, "Okay, we're training, okay, hi Joey, I'm gonna go do a laser now," and then everyone, the collectiveness of seeing all of your women working together, collaborating for the better good of the patients, that you don't see that in that type of, in many other businesses. Is that something that you feel that you guys can take pride in and say that we did that, or do you think it's just pure luck of hiring the right people?
I think I would go with we did that, and actually sometimes we actually used to do even more of it, and that's the conversation we had last week. How as we grew so much, I mean, when we started, it was like 4 of us. It was the 2 of us and 2 employees we had. And it was so easy, right? Because it's just 4 people. And we always did training. We always reviewed cases of clients and to figure out how we can do better. And I feel like we grew so fast. Now we have almost 40 employees. And so one of the challenges we have is how do we continue keeping that team environment where we are training everybody to make sure that everybody's up to speed, and all locations, when you walk in, you have the same feeling and clients receive the same service, the same results. But I think those are some of the growing pains. So yeah, we definitely value that very much, and we continue putting a lot of time and effort into it.
Awesome. One of the things that I always say in business is I want to be big enough to handle all of your needs, but small enough to still remember you by your first name.
Exactly.
And definitely your Fishkill location has done an amazing job at that. You guys have expanded into multiple locations now. Not easy, right? Especially with New York taxes being so high. And from what strategies did you both use with that expansion? And how did it change? Like, was there ever a point where it's like, well, we started doing this in location number 2, so now we're gonna go and rewrite the rule book and make sure we implement this in location number 1? Or what did location number 3, because if you think about your locations, very different demographics in the Hudson Valley. And tapping into the central area of New York. What strategies would you say were used in order for that to happen in the time that it did?
So I would say that when we opened the Latham location, it was a little challenging because it's a little far. And so we had to hire brand new staff and train them. and bring them up to the speed of the way we wanted for Hebe to be. And neither one of us lives there, so it was I had to drive there a few times a week and spend a lot of time to make sure the employees knew exactly what the expectations are. Now, when we opened our Saratoga location, one of the things we've learned is I actually hired my entire staff for Saratoga probably a year before we opened.
Oh,
so when the location was open, we just moved the people and everything was running very
already
smoothly.
coming to the other two.
Correct.
That's
because
smart.
at the beginning, I was trying to send people from Fishkill once in a while to help, but it's an hour and a half away, right? So it was a little challenging because of the distance, and we were so committed to make sure that the consistency and the service that Hebe provides also was in Latham. And along the way, we did learn a lot of things, and I will tell you, each location has become easier and easier, for sure. So now our third location in Saratoga is really, there was no challenge. We just opened. We already have the marketing strategy. We've started doing that before the location was even open. We had an amazing grand opening, and Latham and Saratoga are about half an hour apart.
Okay.
So we already had the brand established.
Okay.
The staff was ready to go. So we are very consistently growing, and that location is outperforming Fishkill and Latham at the place where they were the first year significantly.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I think this is where I feel like Irina's strong suit is that I call her the business psychic. Like she kind of can envision things, has a very good instinct for things,
I get
and
that.
can prepare. So yeah, I think that's
From your social media alone, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that you do have a vision for marketing. You know what I mean? And that's sometimes a hard thing, depending on the industry. Like, again, from a medical perspective, you can look at my chart and say, this is what you need.
Right.
But when you are trying to, like I was telling you, my new favorite game now is to play with my friends is to zoom into their pictures on social media and say, look, you need Botox. And I start to say, look, you need here. And again, I'm proud to say that I'm responsible for bringing quite a few ladies in here.
You are.
So
Appreciate it.
because again, when you do something so well, it's effortless to talk well about it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not like I have to be bribed to talk good about the Zoe products that I have at home, the peptides that have helped with my gut health, even my sex life. You've been responsible for improving my sex life.
Yeah.
And it's true.
You're welcome.
You were like, I'm at 37, you told me, yeah, your testosterone levels are low. Let's, and I'm just like, then you put my husband on it, and Jesus Christ, that just completely changed my
There's
sex
also
life.
like fireworks in there.
Yeah, and it's but it is. My thing is like I love to talk about it because these are things that I know I can't live without. Like the other day, I was telling the girl, I was like, I am out of everything, and they're like, all right, break, blood work, then we'll let Dr. Z come in. But for example, in other industries, it's very difficult to say you need this. You know what I mean? You need to buy this item in a retail aspect. And not all business partners, not all businesses are good at that. Like you could be the best lawyer in town, but if you don't know how to sell yourself, if you don't have personality, no one's gonna want to work with you.
Right.
There is a common denominator that separates the business owners from, the worker bees.
Yeah.
The queen bees versus the worker bees type of thing.
But I'm also going to add that, look, when we started, we didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about marketing. I went to school, actually, one of my degrees is in marketing, but it's one thing to go to school. It's another thing to really, really actually do it. And I think that we learned through a lot of trial and errors. And, I think that that's been very helpful. I mean, we've been in business for 7 years now. We've worked with a few different companies, and as we continue growing, we had to go to the next level. And I do want to say that today we are very fortunate because we can actually afford to spend the money in marketing, but we also have a really good partners that we work with, and we're able to really guide to where we want to be and make the right decisions because we've tried everything in the beginning, every marketing trend, and then you kind of learn what works, what doesn't, and then you do the things that work for you. And I think that now with all of these medical spas getting into the market, this is such a good benefit to us because we are a little bit far ahead than anyone else. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, Hebe definitely is setting the bar for a lot of the newcomers that are coming in. And it's funny because people that I know that dabble into the industry, and I drop the Hebe name, you have women in Westchester looking at what you guys do and trying to mimic it.
Okay.
You know, you have people that know of you. And that's one thing in business you're going to learn really fast, is that you're going to have haters and fans, right? You're going to have people that love what you do and other people that have an opinion about who you are. But the science there is like, for example, you know, I'm a boring accountant. There's nothing glamorous about my industry and what I do for a living besides that I can educate my clients in making the right financial decisions, right? Mm-hmm. But I'll make my company host a Botox party. Because, like I said, word of mouth is the last Botox party that I hosted with Hebe in April. My husband invited one of his clients. She brought a friend. She ends up becoming a client of the firm. So this is what we do well. Mm-hmm. We throw nice parties. So my thing is that, yes, I'll do it again without no financial advantage to myself. Other than Botox, but you know, I do it because it is a business event for me, because at the end of the day, if someone's bringing a friend, someone's going to become a client of somebody, or I might meet a vendor. Maybe I might meet someone who you know is in marketing or branding, or I might meet someone that I might say, wait, I might not. You might not need business from me, but maybe I need business from you. Maybe I need to shop at your place, or be your client, because this is going to be to my advantage. So definitely, the community of spreading the word and is the best form of marketing you could do for any business.
I can't agree more than that, because you know, one of the things we did also and we continue doing is collaborating with other local businesses. That's been part of our marketing plan, and creating that community has been really great, because you know, you can spend money, run ads, do all the things that we're doing currently, but the word of mouth is really the best marketing. And you know, like having people such as yourself and you know other local businesses that we work with has been huge for us, growing our social media, being able to get some really great clients that don't just come for a one transaction, they become clients for life, and we really, really value that. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that you guys are doing, which I think is so smart, is your memberships. And you know, I'll let you guys talk about it, because I started here with spending units to now strictly only shopping on sale days, but making sure that I have at least 2 membership packages, because I'm going to spend the money anyway, right? So who came up with that?
Well, it's a funny story. So before the spa was open, we opened in November, but in July of 2018, we actually were in Las Vegas for a conference. There was a big aesthetics conference that happens every July. And Z had some family members there. Yeah, so one of her cousins said that there is this medical spa here, they do memberships and everyone goes there. So we were like having dinner one night, we were talking about it. It's like, yeah, we should start memberships. And that's how we started, but that's how we got the idea. But one of the things I love about the memberships is that, look, medical aesthetics is expensive. It's expensive field. And one of the things we really wanted to do is we wanted to make sure we have something for everyone. Because not everyone can afford to spend thousands of dollars, but you know, everybody deserves to feel good about themselves and be able to like go and do something. So we have a $95 facial membership. Anyone can afford that. Come in once a month, take care of your skin. When you're in the membership, you get discounts on Botox, skincare, upgrades to other lasers. So because you're coming and you're becoming our valued client and you're loyal to us, now we're giving you access to get more for the money. And you know, then we grew into laser memberships, and we have the injectable, the BHRT membership, and it's working really, really well, because we want to give a reward to our loyal clients that choose us every month, and they come and they give all their needs to us.
And you know, I'll just add from a medical perspective is, honestly, if you want to see the change, you gotta put the work in. It's like any other membership. It's like a gym membership. It's like anything else. You have to come. We have to see you monthly, quarterly. We have to make plans. We have to make you know, protocols for us to get you to a goal that you want, or if I advise a certain goal that we agree on. So it helps people stay committed. It helps people show up. So it's a win-win for both, from a business perspective, yeah, and also from a, you know, to actually see the results.
From a consumer side, I can say that yes, at first anyone's going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to spend how much money on doing certain things? And yes, that number does sound a little bit scary. And don't get me wrong, I was skeptical at first, you know, and when we did Sculptra, when we did the injectable BBL on me, I was like, do I, you know, is this gonna, like, what's gonna happen? But I had faith, and I did it. But what did I do? I bought a body membership. So now once a month, I use the AccuFit.
Right.
And again, my husband goes, you know, just look up the machine. Maybe you could just buy it and leave it in our house. I'm like, do you know how much that machine costs? I'm like, I'm not buying it.
And honestly, if you do,
I've seen the change. I was like, oh my God, because I've never had an ass, and I'm like, oh, I gotta have an ass now. I'm so happy.
Yeah, but honestly, if you do girl math, you know, it ends up actually being that you're saving money. So we use girl math, and we help you guys see that the memberships actually get you results, and you actually end up saving money in the long run. So
no, it's amazing. It's amazing. Again, there's so many things that people don't see. Like, you know, for you, I'm sure the clinical and the ethical things that you are constantly, you know, the medical oversight, the compliance part, that's the non-glamorous part that nobody wants to talk about. But again, I remember when you've done blood work, you brought things to my attention where it's like, you know what, we're not going to do this. I've changed my mind. Because you're looking out for the better health. And my thing is, like, I feel like when I go to a doctor with health insurance, it's not that same attention.
yes,
It's completely very transactional. Like my last physical, I remember the guy just sat there on his laptop the entire time.
yeah,
And again, he said, "Oh, what are you doing? You know, you're at perfect weight." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on tesamorelin, thanks to Dr. Z. I'm on semaglutide, thanks to Dr. Z. I'm on Glow, thanks to Dr. Z. No thanks to you. Thank you for letting me know that I'm at a good height and weight. I can leave now." And he billed my insurance, and I paid my copay, and it felt like a chore. It doesn't feel like how I feel when I come in here. You know, and a lot of people don't know that. They need to start caring. One of the things I wanted to talk about was my favorite thing here, which is Botox. And my question to you, Dr. Z and Irina, is what are some of the horror stories you've seen from other injectors?
okay.
How about, like, you know, when you get a botched situation? Obviously, with protecting the privacy of people, but what is one of the most common things?
Yeah, so I mean, bot situations with Botox happen all the time, even in the best of hands and in the worst of hands. But I mean, the common ones you see is heavy brows or uneven brows, like you had talked about. Those are very common. But you know, I always just reassure the patient, like, look, good thing about Botox is it doesn't last. So yes, it's a temporary frustration that you may have, but the good thing is it doesn't last. But when it does wear off, we would love the opportunity to show you what our Botox looks like, and you know, it ends up being a pretty good job. And the reason I say that is because of years and years of experience, years and years of education. We still do education on Botox every single day. And I think Irina this, and my patients and my nurses, like, I'll tell you right now, Botox is the hardest thing to do. Lips are easier, cheeks are easier. Botox is the hardest.
Really?
Because of the fact that everyone's muscles are so different, and there is a method to the madness that I have come up with over the years. You know, I have seen, you know, providers, from Brazil. I have, you know, trained with everyone from Brazil to like South America and everywhere to understand Botox, you know, and so we're very confident in how we understand anatomy. We keep up with the research, and we are able to provide really good, you know, Botox results. But yeah, it's common things, and I just reassure the patients, like, look, it goes away. So yeah.
And sometimes there are things you can do to, like, correct a little bit. So while you're waiting through that period, you know, not always, but sometimes we can. And also to piggyback of Dr. Z, every year we send all of our injectors to a cadaver course where they can really refresh on the anatomy.
Right.
Because one of the things when we started this business, we said safety always first. And when you were asking earlier, how do we make decisions on certain devices or new procedures, safety of the client always first, results after. And we do have like a system that we use of evaluating what is the best technology. And to your point, we do try everything on ourselves before we bring it.
I find it so funny, but
that's, I'm still recovering from a laser treatment.
Walking down the hallway full of numbing stuff.
Yeah.
I love that because it makes me feel confident too as a patient here.
Even with the skincare, we don't bring skincare unless we've actually used it for a while to see how it works and what are the benefits of it, because we really want to make sure we bring the best to our clients.
And if there's any advice that I can give to injectors out there, and I think we do this, is that when we first meet anyone, we're conservative with our Botox. We do a phase 1 and phase 2 appointment for that reason. So the first appointment, when we first meet you, we're going to be a little bit conservative. And when we come back and see how your muscle responds, then we'll go ahead and add additional. So that keeps us actually very safe, and allows us to learn this, everyone's anatomy,
I mean, I started with 32 units and I graduated to 116 units.
Yeah, there you go.
But again, I feel like it's because of the strategies that you said.
Right.
Like one of the things that one of your nurses told me, the jawline. You know what I mean? And then there's not enough, and there's a lot of people that are not knowledgeable in general, right? So if we go talk about cost, right, and the expensive and how expensive this all is, there are things that you offer here at Hebe that are medical write-offs on the personal tax return. The Botox for preventing for sweat glands, and Botox for when dealing with migraines, all that are injectables that actually help, that are considered medical expenses.
Correct.
Because it's being issued by a licensed physician.
Right.
So that's what I have to tell my clients. Sometimes they said, we live in the world of TikTok and Reels, and my clients will come into me and be like, oh, I saw a video that said that I can write off my Botox, and I'm like, well, who's your injector? And then when I look at the person, I'm like, that's not a doctor. In order for a medical write-off to be a write-off, it has to come from a licensed medical practitioner. Not Susie, who decided she wanted to inject your face because, her friend got her, Brazilian Botox, And you hear so many things. Again, when you go to Mexico, you walk into a pharmacy, you walk out with whatever you want. Legally purchasing it, right? So it's scary because there's not a lot of people that are out there ethically making sure. But one of the things that I want to remind everyone viewing is that anything that I get from Hebe that is considered qualified. So of course my AccuFit's not going to be considered, my Sculpture's not going to be considered, but my filler to correct something that a previous surgeon did incorrect, that is a medical expense that I'm going to be able to write off. My IVs, you are constantly checking my blood work, which means you are monitoring what am I doing. Those are all qualified medical expenses, and a lot of people don't know that. A lot of your patients don't know that.
Yeah.
And the opportunity of education is always important because, again, even from my side, that's all my 2 cents that I can give with taxes, right? When it comes, my beautiful skincare regime is not a write-off. But again, the sweat Botox worked wonders. It worked wonders for me. And it was worth every dime.
Yeah.
It was worth every dime. Like I genuinely say, everything that I've done here has been definitely something that I've always, left here and always felt good about what I was doing. So before we wrap up, I just have a few little lightning points I wanted to ask you guys.
All right.
Irina, have you ever regretted a big equipment purchase?
I can answer that.
Honestly, no.
No, Dr. Z?
No, because you know why? We very smartly went by purchasing all the equipment. We started with 2 devices. As the practice grew, every time we felt the practice needed whatever the clients needed, we added. And so I think that we very strategically have added all of our devices, and we're very proud to say today that we do have a lot of devices. Sometimes when you go to, so we can treat pretty much all skin concerns, because if you have one device, it's like when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So, there is a lot of, medical spas out there. If you have one device and everything, when you come, that's all they can offer. We're very lucky to be able to offer our clients pretty much meet any concern that they have. And we're very excited to also bring the newest and latest technology in medical aesthetics coming in soon.
Yes.
End of December.
Is there anything we want to know about that? Or are we keeping it top secret?
It's not a top secret. I'll tell you a little bit. It's a technology that really created, for first time in aesthetics, 3 different wavelengths of a laser. So pretty much does everything on the skin. Think of finalizing wrinkles, skin resurfacing, improves tone, texture, pigmentation. It's very exciting. So.
Oh, wow.
I know. I did the treatment about 10 days ago. So yeah.
That's your teaser.
That's my teaser.
Something to put on your Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dr. Z, if there's one treatment that you'd love to scale even more next year, what would it be?
Gosh, there's so many. I mean, for me, it's always going to be the wellness. The wellness is just, it's expanding. It's very rewarding for me.
Is it the hormone therapy more than, is there one more than the other that you feel like maybe not enough people know about it, or not enough people are taking advantage of them?
Yeah, I mean, hormones and peptides are going to be sort of like, they're together
Right
now for me. So yeah, definitely just the overall wellness space. I am very proud of that space. Very passionate about it. Gives me a lot of meaning. I mean, when I see the things that it does for my patient's life, I mean, it goes deep for me. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going with that one.
If I could just add to this, I do feel that from business perspective, the longevity and wellness space is really where the growth is going to come in aesthetics in general. And it's a huge space. One of the things that I love about Dr. Z, she's so progressive, always, finds ways. We just recently introduced the genetic testing as well. So what we are hoping to do with that is we run your blood work, we also check your genes, because it's so important for us to figure out what is really specifically best for Joey, not everyone else.
Not generalizing.
Right, and so to the level of what exercise is best for you, what diet, what supplements, so there is no more guessing game. And I do think that this for Hebe is such a step forward.
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yes.
Now for both of you, can you give me one word to describe what's in store for the future of Hebe? If you have to describe Hebe's future in one word.
Expansion.
Expansion.
Elevate.
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 E, huh?
Yeah, elevate.
Maybe that's a clue. Maybe we're getting an Eastchester spa? Maybe we're getting a Westchester spa?
So many teasers.
You know what? Right now I say no, but you never know. I think I've learned in my life is to never
just
say
like
never.
Just zip it, just because you never know. Yeah.
Never say never, I know.
Exactly.
The only thing I did say never again to is more kids, and that's not changing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel you.
definitely never say
We're
never.
the one and done crew. Yeah.
Yes, the one and done club. I love that. The one and done club. It could be our own social club.
That's right.
The one and done club.
Yep.
Yeah, and dog mommies account for that too. So.
Yes.
Because Lord knows I don't want any more pets either.
Yeah.
Ladies, this has been an incredible conversation. Hebe Med Spa is the perfect example of what happens when strong business visions come together. Expert clinical leadership, and the strategies that never hurt anybody. You guys did an amazing job here. And to everyone listening today, please check out Hebe Medical Spa and follow them on social media for updates, skincare tips, and upcoming events. Follow Dr. Z and follow Irina on Instagram. They're always sharing so much that's going on from a business perspective, from a clinical perspective, everything, tips. I love watching all their videos. And as always, I'm Joseph Rodriguez, and this was Antaxis, and we see you guys next time. Thank you.